It is a wonderful day because we are kicking off a new week together. Welcome, Sonder family. I'm Jennifer Ogilvy. I'll be your facilitator this morning as we get ready to set up for a whole brand new week. It is week 40, 46. That means we have 6 weeks left of this year. Can you believe that we are sitting here? Anyway, I wanna welcome you to your setup this morning. Joining me today is the other Jennifer. We are Team Jennifer. Jennifer is hopping on. She's giving you a little wave this morning. She's coming to you from Minnesota, and we are just really excited about being with you this morning. So there are those community guidelines. If you'll take a moment to just kind of scan over them, remind yourself, we do create safe spaces when we are with one another. And so we do like to remind everyone of our community guidelines. And let me see, is there anybody joining us for the very first time with their journal, just kind of checking out what this setup social stuff is all about? If that's you, put a me in the chat so that the Sonder family can give you a big welcome. I'm looking at names that are gathering this morning. I see lots of familiar names. We hang out with each other enough. We start noticing, we're all familiar, right? We're good friends. So we are so glad that you are here. This is a time for you to kind of get some ideas. You may already have your cadence. You know what you're going to do in your journal, but you keep this appointment for the accountability part. Keep that journal fresh. Make this tool work in your life, as well as gather with some of the best people that you will ever meet. So let's get going with our setup today. Of course, we are digging into joy this month. November is a time to be grateful for every little thing. And I think that's what we're figuring out through this theme. And I've seen lots of folks in Sonder clubs just talk about joy is kind of elusive right now. It's not hitting as well. And so I'm glad that we're taking the opportunity to take a look at joy and maybe how we can do some deeper digs and slow life down a little bit. um Last week was a week, right? And so we need to seek those moments of joy instead of division, and just kind of, take a moment and give our time to ourselves to embrace what joy looks like in our life. And yes, Crystal, thank you to all our veterans that are in our Sonder family. So if that's you, we do so appreciate the service that you have provided to our country, or perhaps a significant other in your life or someone in your family has made that dedicated move to serve our nation. And so we do say thank you to those veterans. Some of you may be off work today. So that you can honor those veterans that are in your life and in your community. So, our agenda this morning, pardon me, I don't know if I've got allergies or a cold. Something's going on. So, pardon me. We're going to work on our second week of our joy mind map. We will be doing our rosebud thorn reflection, and then we're going to take a look at our weekly setup. And I have some different slides to share with you this morning. So maybe you'll see something. If there's a space you're thinking about repurposing to work in your life, maybe you'll see something new that you can grab. So let's take a look at that mind map. If you missed last week, you are encouraged to find a blank space in your journal. I mostly do my mind maps now on like the very last page of the journal. That is a hint or a tip from our co-facilitator Bailey, who says if I put it on the last page, I can turn to it immediately. But you may also want to stick it on one of those note pages that are embedded somewhere in your journal. You may be using your week to week scratch pad, that space that's on the side of those weekly spreads. Perhaps you just kind of do it on sticky notes throughout. Your definition page is a great space to do these responses, your quote page. So, we're going to have 4 weeks of digging into joy and what that looks like. Leanne said she's using page 7 this month. And so last week we had a moment to reflect upon the relationships in our life and how they contribute to our joy. And this week, we are going to be exploring the idea of nature, spending time in nature and how that affects our mood and our well being. And, it's not, you don't have to be like a camper or a hiker for this to apply. There's lots of different ways we can experience nature depending on where we are. But start thinking about those specific natural settings or activities that bring you the most joy. So, there is my response for our week number 2, but I did want to give you some things to think about. Maybe you are a camper or a hiker or you do bird watching, but there's also activities outside in nature, like outdoor markets. Or maybe you prefer to dine al fresco when given the choice, or go have a picnic. Perhaps it's coffee on your porch or patio. What about attending sports venues? Do you get a little bit of nature and those sounds are a little bit different, but you're still enjoying baseball or grandkids' soccer games or your children's football games or soccer? Perhaps visiting a park, or maybe you embrace nature through photography, sitting around a fire. The idea of forest baths, forest bathing, where you just kind of meander in the middle of the woods, detached from all the busyness of life. Sightseeing, cultural events and festivals or fairs. It's kind of fair season across the United States. Of course, gardening, that's me. That's where where I always say getting my nails done, which means they're full of dirt underneath because I've been digging. Biking, playing with pets. So lots of different ways we can embrace nature in our life. I notice that when I take a walk, it does calm me. I used to have a lot of trouble with meditation, and because I have a hard time sitting still. And I had a dear friend say, but you do meditate because you walk and you're noticing things and you're embracing nature, and just slow it down a little bit. Pay attention to the sky. Pay attention to the leaves you see. Notice what's on the ground, and you have your active meditation. It was such a game changer for me to hear that. And then of course, I love just digging in the dirt. So I'm going to put on some little outdoorsy sounds while you work on this. And I can't wait to hear all the different ways that you embrace being in nature, whether it's sitting on your favorite patio enjoying a cup of coffee or dining with friends al fresco. Start sharing in the chat. You might inspire us, like, oh, yeah, I like that too. And I'll be back to check in with you in just a moment. So thank you for spending a little time in nature with us this morning. You all did such a beautiful job of embracing the idea of nature. Many of you, it's the ocean waves. India is trying to draw a butterfly, but she said it looks like a mothman. India, no judgment. This is your journal. Nobody has to see it. You know that it's a butterfly. But I love that Carly brought up a couple of great ideas or great things to consider. One of them being her wardrobe, and the colors that she chooses are tend to be very nature, colors. Of course, we see our beautiful colors in nature, but then I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I literally put on this sweater this morning and thought, our skies are looking like this right now. Like we had a couple of really rainy days and gloomy gray skies. I'm like, I'm gonna put on this bright blue because it looks like the sky today. You can kind of consider like bringing nature into your life in these other ways. Also your home environment. How do you bring nature inside? That was something I hadn't really thought about when I was considering this prompt, but I started thinking about that made me think about I have I had lived on the Texas Gulf Coast almost my entire life until 4 years ago. And, I have this beach picture that is, a painting that one of my husband's cousins did, and it's huge, and it's in my bedroom purposely because it takes me home, and it helps me remember the sounds, the smells, the feel of my feet in the sand, of the waves crashing on my legs, of just sitting in the water's edge and kinda sinking, and it's purposefully in my bedroom because of the feelings that it evokes. So it's that piece of nature that I've brought in. So I'm so appreciative, Carly, for you mentioning like, how do I bring nature inside? Many of us are talking about our house plants and we're doing our best to keep them alive. My house plants actually cultivate more nature because I can't get rid of the house gnats, those little gnats. If y'all have a hint, I would appreciate appreciate that, but I have critters in the house because of those. But there is a lot of different ways of thinking about how nature affects your mood. Like if you've got your plant corner and you're tending to those, caring for a living thing, what does that do for your wellness as you consider that part of nature that is living perhaps in a little corner by a window? So, thank you all for sharing. There's a lot of great ways for us to embrace nature. Maybe it's a little bird feeder now. Maybe we could think about adding one thing this week that will give us a little bit of nature in our life and bring about a joy that we might have forgotten that is down there, deep in, and we're going to kind of spur it back to life by being intentional with this journal reflection. And as the week goes on and you consider other things, or you start noticing maybe you do slow down on a daily walk and intentionally look for something like a heart shape in the world, like maybe a cloud or a leaf or a stone, like really lean into the intentionality of embracing joy in nature. So thanks again for that share. I'm kind of ready to get outside to this beautiful day now. Oh, the squirrels. Yes, Gail, the squirrels are all out eating eating those acorns. And the bird seed, right? If you have bird feeders. So now we're going to flip over to page 36, which is where you will find our weekly rosebud thorn reflection. And we're just kind of taking a look back over the week, considering what are the things that are worth celebrating, those roses, the things that brought us immense joy, the positive things that are happening, as well as those buds. Like what is coming down the pipe for you? Are you getting ready for the holidays? Are you like considering pulling out some of your holiday decorations. What are some things that maybe you're going to start exploring and you're thinking, 2025 is here and it's my year to thrive. And so, what is that starting to look like as it's formulating in your brain? Those are those buds. And then, of course, the thorns are the things that are challenges, right? Some of them are temporary, some of them are always there all the time. But they're might be causing stress, might be feeling a little negative. Let's give some power to our pen and paper journaling and put it down there. And I'm going to ask you, as you're considering your thorn, where is a lesson within that thorn? Where is a moment of joy? What can you learn from that thorn that you're experiencing? So really do kind of a deep dig on that to find the converse side of it, right? Like life is life. It's going to have some icky things. So for me, I had another wedding weekend. My next door neighbor of 30 plus years back in the Houston area, their daughter got married this weekend. So we drove into Louisiana and it was nice to just be a wedding guest, but we are tired. My bud is I'm gonna drive down to Houston next weekend and we're gonna see Cindy Lauper in concert, me and a couple of girlfriends. And I'm so excited. Girls just want to have fun. And, I can't imagine a better way to embrace joy through than with that. And then my thorn is we are decluttering the garage. If you've been with me, I bring up the garage every now and then. And so, hanging out with with the husband and saying, I don't think we need that anymore. It's a thorn. I know you know. So I'm gonna put on some music while you do your reflection. Feel free to share in the chat. Let us celebrate with you, but let us also walk through the thorns together as a community. And I'll be back to check in with you and we'll get on with our setup in just a moment. Thank you for taking a moment to consider what the week brought you. Lots of great roses out there, some great medical results. We're cheering for all of those of you who have had, man, when something's hanging over you, and then you get the results and it's like, it's nothing, you're okay. And you're like, oh, but a few of you are dealing with some things that you're like waiting on, or you're going to have to move forward with that are medically related. And it's kind of scary. And then Kimberly L just said, there's just like this funk. I don't know really what it is. And sometimes we have weeks like that. And I'm not making this a political thing, but I will say that the election cycle that our country just went through, we have seen a lot of division among people, whether, no matter how the votes went. There's just this division of how folks are treating each other, and we're all treating each other kindly. I have respect for whichever way anybody chooses to exercise their right to vote. But you turn on the news or you're looking in social media and we see a lot of the worst of people. And I think that just kind of weighs on us like so maybe that might have something to do with that funk, so be good to yourself and figure out, is it just like there's this cloud because people just aren't all being nice and we want Sonder family, we're great. We want everybody to be happy and cheer for each other, but not everybody wants to cheer for everybody, right? Yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna put that out there that I think there's just this environment that, we have to that can be a thorn for all of us. Again, no matter how we voted, it's just there because we see folks not being kind to each other, on both sides. And so we are here to take care of ourselves and to take care of each other. And hopefully we can just, continue to love in the way we know how to love one another the best. So thank you for right, Katie. Just love each other, like respect and move forward and do what's right for you. So glad to have the space to just reflect and say things feel off. And thanks for being here, Sonder family. So let's go ahead and turn to page 39 very quickly. We're not going to spend time with this page, but I do want to call this page out because we are kind of looking at it this week. We're hitting the middle of the month come Friday, Saturday. And so what I'd like you to do is take a look at your currently page on page 39. And then now I want you to turn to page 42, 43. And just put a little note in that weekly spread, little asterisk or something. Go fill out currently page. And when you do this page, I want to encourage you to go back and look at the intentions you set for this month. Go back to that intentions page. What did you want November to bring you? And make sure that what you did 2 weeks ago is still in alignment, and if not, give yourself permission to change that intention up and then move forward. As you do this currently reflection, as you're looking at what you're loving, what you're feeling, what you're enjoying, what you're anticipating, all those things, really, really go back and lean into those intentions. So often we do the intentions and then we forget to figure out how to bring them forward. So just your friendly little public service announcement. Now we'll turn to page 41, 40, and 41 to do that weekly setup. We're going to start on kind of this first page where we're looking at how do we want to feel, our goals, our to-dos, and the habits and activities for the week. And then we'll move over to our second page. So this is an example from one of our Sonder families, and just wanted to sort of point out a couple of things. You can see the three goals are very simple, one word goals. The to-do list has actually become like this morning routine check-in. Over on the other pages, her evening check-in with routines, and then the activities and habits for the week. So it's a great example of how to set these 2 pages up, but let's go ahead and start now. I want you to look at how you wanna feel. I've already shared, I've embraced the word joy for the whole month. I'm really embracing the theme. I'm delighting in celebrating joy. This is a graphic from our mood tracker that we share at the monthly sit-ups, and look at all those different words that encaptures or encapsulates the word joy. So if you're wanting to sort of look at some different ways of putting joy in your feelings this week. Some of you are already dropping it in. Yes, drop in the chat. How do you want to feel? And Kai, I love you. You've often got a quote affiliated with the feeling that you want to feel. There's not a right way or wrong way to set this space up. You can have one word, you can have lots of words, you can throw a little quote in there to support that. You can kind of give yourself some self-talk. Look at the one that's there on the bottom left, stop making excuses, stop complaining, stop procrastinating, stop having self-doubt. Just really that kind of go get them, go get them. You can use stickers, you can have a list of things. So you guys are dropping some great stuff in that chat. Again, there's not a right way or wrong way. You may be using that same word for the month. You may be using your word of the year. So Alice is gonna be on target this month. I love blissful. So lots of great, great things that we're gonna manifest for the week. And this sort of sets up our mind frame for how we want to approach all the things in our week. So we'll drop down now to our three major goals. And this quote really supports the idea of what our goals are looking like. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So, as you're setting up your goals, these goals may be the exact same goals that you are just bringing forward. Goals don't need to be accomplished in a single week. You may have one big yearly goal, and that has come with you week to week to week to week. Again, it's what you need, or you may need a little set of fresh kind of mini goals for the week. I always like to share this if you are new here or you haven't considered the different ways you can set up the goals for the week. Grab a screenshot of anything you see that resonates with you. We are big fans of setting SMART goals. I'll speak to the specific in just a moment, but we want to make sure you can measure the success, that it is something attainable, that it's relevant in your life, and that it is time bound. When you put that time with it, it really gives you that sense of, accountability, self accountability. Lots of us like to just do 3 different categories each week and then drop a goal under each one of those, or you may use your word of the year or month or the feeling for the week that you want. Now, micro goals is a really great way of getting specific if we're looking at those SMART goals. So, instead of having get in shape, your goal becomes walk around the block during your lunch break, right? So it's a very it's broken down and it's like a little bite size that will help you get to this overall idea of your goal. Read 25 books. Well, what does that look like? Well, I'm going to commit to reading 5 minutes every day before I go to bed. Saving money for a home. That's a huge goal. How am I going to do it? Well, I instead of saying saving for a house, I'm going to transfer X dollars to savings on a daily basis. Or it could be I'm going to stop drinking my Starbucks morning cup of coffee and that money goes into the home fund. So you're really leaning in to specific smaller goals to help you get to that big goal. So I love remembering this because I'm really good about like get healthy, eat better. What is that? Well, eat 5 vegetables a day. Getting a little more specific. also pointing you back to our reflection page that we did this month on the previous month. We said there were some things we wanted to start, some things that we wanted to stop, and some things we wanted to continue. Maybe go take a look at that space in your journal and you could formulate your 3 goals based on things from this reflection, from something that you wanted to start, something you wanted to stop, and something you wanted to continue. Perhaps that's the category you use in that space for your goals. You have your stop goal, and you're going to write that down. Your start goal, you're going to write that down. Your continue goal, you're going to write that down. So again, pointing you back to that work that you did at the front of the month. Again, I've talked to you about November, the things that we are eliminating, we're saying no to. I think this is such a good quote about the trees are about to show us how lovely it is to let things go. And this person is stopping some things that are not serving them. And it is more than 3 major goals, but the overall goal is stopping, and then they've gotten specific with those micro goals. And then we take those feelings and kind of formulate our goals. Here you can see the one in the middle. They want to be happy and joyous. That was the words. And so there's a home and a work and a family focus. So kind of doing that category. The one over there on the right, let go, lean into, learn. So that could be like how you set this up week to week to week, and then you just sort of fill that in. Here are some more great ideas from our Sonder family. And I wanted to show you the one on the bottom right. They actually kept the goals and the weekly to dos, but they swapped the spaces just because it's nice to use that grid to make the list of the weekly to dos. And so give yourself permission to make the space work best in your life. Also, let's talk about how cute the goals are because they're all done in stickers. And the little playing with the puppy goal, all the fun stuff that is down, the hobbies, the reading and music and playing with I just love that. So I thought that was kind of just swap those spaces if that works better for you. A couple more examples here of are setting goals and getting the to-dos. Love the idea of stickers, of check marks. Again, I'm gonna go through all of these while we work on it. And then this here are a couple examples of that repurposing. In that first example I showed you of the whole page, they're using this space as a routine tracker. So perhaps their goals are more tied into their intentions, and then they're just using the space to really lock in routines. And then lots of ideas for the to-dos. And, sometimes it's hard to get it going. So I like to introduce the Pomodoro method and remind you of setting that timer. It can really help you be taught, that time. You're tied to a time frame when you're setting these goals and these to-dos. Here is the method for the Pomodoro, and, sometimes I use this, but sometimes I'll just I really need to work in my closet, and I'll just set like a 20-minute timer, and I work as quickly as I can for just that 20 minutes. So that timer sort of does that self-regulation for you, and you get very mindful when you're trying to beat the clock. That is something that works for me. I always like to share that. The Eisenhower matrix, we love this for those long, list of all the things there are to do, especially as we're finishing up the year. This might become a primary to-do list somewhere else that you're posting it. It's like finishing the year strong, and you make this huge long list, and then you can sit with that list, plug it all in so that you can really tackle those things that are important and urgent, and then help you realize that maybe some things can be deleted or at least delayed until later because they're not as important and not as urgent. So if you're starting to feel the crunch of year end, this is a great tool. Just make that list, kind of do that brain dump and plug everything in to this matrix so that you can feel proud of getting those important and urgent things off your plate and done. Um, we love a good bingo that gamifies a to-do list. Maybe there's a lot of chores on a list, and so you just put it in a bingo and you can get the joy of marking them off. And then lots of different categories, ways to put that in place, and then just some repurposing ideas. You don't have to do a to-do list. Maybe this is where your quote of the week goes, or the not to do list. You can see the example of that in the right, as well as how do you want to be this week, especially if you are, like Kimberly said, I'm just have this funk. Okay, maybe your list this week, somewhere in this setup, becomes how do I want to be, and really manifesting the feelings that you need this week to find joy, even though there's a little bit of a gray cloud there for some reason. Now we're gonna drop down to that habit and activity space. I'll share a couple of ideas for that, and then we'll work on this through some good music. But this is from our Silk and Sonder Instagram page. I have several examples from there. It's a great account to follow. But these are some habits for November based on your goals. So you can look and it says, if you want to be more organized, then here are some things to do. Feel happier and healthier. Maybe lift that little gray cloud and get some movement in daily. Limit your blue light exposure, which also could equate to just get off of the socials for a while. I probably need the news feeds. Commit to your bedtime. Bedtime's tricky for me. Y'all know that, but I did see somewhere, and I've shared this before, that a way that a grown up can sleep in is by going to bed earlier. Like, get those hours in at the front end, because it's really hard to truly sleep in with the tasks of the day. But we can get that sleep if we commit to that bedtime. Um, I love this example in the upper left because this Silk and Sonder family member is going to use their habit and activity tracker for accountability to the rest of the work in the journal, minus drinking water, unless they're using the water droplet trackers. But look how their habit and activities are all pointing back to the different trackers that we have in our journal. So just a reminder to check in with that daily. The one below that, this was a transition month from October to November, but you can see days are circled when I want these things to happen. So taking care of our toes 7 days a week. But I'm going to go to Silk and Sonder Socials 3 times this week. So those days are circled. There's that accountability built in. And then there's some habits of productive people. You might want to sneak some of those into your tracker this month. Some more ideas of saying no for November. There's all of those habits are tied to a no of things that are not serving them. Or maybe you need to take a break this week and just kind of let your tracker live in that space. You don't have to fill these out every day. Or maybe your one thing is giving myself grace with the tracker, and you check that off. So again, it's about taking what you need. Here's just some more examples, ways of setting that up. Somebody's going to track something, 3 things. There are days circled, so the intention of doing that. You can set a goal with the number of times you want to do something, or just mark it off as you see with these bottom 2 examples. And then again, from our Instagram account, here's some other habits to consider adding into that habit rotation, as well as this page. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to go back through all of these examples for this first page. If you repurpose anything, drop that in the chat, because that can be very helpful to folks to maybe keep this fresh and find a new way to use that. I'll be back in to check, and we'll move over to the next page in just a few moments. I always love the encouragement in the chat that I see, and yeah, you might have times when you're just not doing your journal, and I see some folks are thinking about maybe I need to do it at a different time, like maybe not the morning. Maybe I needed to look at it in the evening, or maybe a little bit in the morning and a little bit at night. So it's about, figuring out your cadence and what works best for you, and the support that y'all are giving each other is just so encouraging. So let's now jump over and take a look at the next page, which has our meal plan, our mind body health plan, that shopping list, and the I am loving box. And so this is a slide that you've seen before. It's ways of using this section as the meal plan as related to your nutrition, and it's how different folks have set this space up to use it for that purpose. But there's a lot of ways to repurpose this space, because we do love the nice rectangles that are there. Also love this idea of what is fresh and producing right now, if you want to incorporate some of those delicious produce items into your meal plan. But there's a lot of ways to repurpose this. You can see the one on the left, there's the daily affirmations from checking into the Sonder Club. Maybe it's your to-do list, your reminders. Maybe it's the one good thing, three good things, end of day reflection, or what you're looking forward to. I want to really shout out this morning to considering the 7 types of rest. Jennifer will drop the links for a little bit more of a dig for you if you want to embrace this. This is a really good thing to consider in your life. Now, this person is kind of embracing a different type of rest every day during the week. So, really like honing in. I want to on Monday, look at what physical rest looks like in my life. On Tuesday, what mental rest looks like in my life. But you can also take a quiz and find out like what area you are lacking in as far as your type of rest. And maybe you find out that, emotionally you are worn out. And so for the week, you're going to dig into ways to rest emotionally, to rebuild some stamina in your emotional health. Or perhaps your social rest needs a little bit more. And you can find that one type and really, do some Googling and figure out some ways to provide yourself that replenishment that you need in that area of your life. Some other examples of filling this space out. There's no right or wrong. Again, take what you need. The mind body health plan for me is the one I repurpose most of all. I'm going to share a lot of ways that you could kind of, lean into using this space. And so if you see something you like, grab a screenshot while we're going through these, and I'll go back through as we work on this. This graphic for self-care ideas, I loved. I thought this was really great for this page because even like food happiness, um, don't you love the way that sounds? And I thought, man, this is a great thing to put in your that menu space or that food tracker space. How do you find food happiness? And you think of maybe 7 different ways of embracing that this week, or put this in that mind body health plan. Again, thinking about that rest, maybe that relaxation will help get you kind of thinking about ways you can put moments of relaxation into your week. 20 autumn self-care tips and ideas. Some of this has to do with going outdoors, embracing that joy from nature. And then some of it is staying inside and kind of thinking about the graphic on the right about embracing the idea of that coziness through practices of hygge, where you are cozy, comfy. And I remember we did an exclusive on hygge a couple of years ago, and it was about like if you have to go buy stuff to have hygge moments, then it's not really a hygge moment. It's about the contentment of all that is surrounding you and within your life. So kind of keep that in mind, like finding the joy in what is already there. Our shopping list, again, another just fun ways to repurpose it if you're not using the using the shopping list as a shopping list. Here's a bunch of ways to utilize the space that you could work that could work in your life. And then also, what are you loving right now, this very moment? I've sort of been on a Spotify list and I've pulled up some favorite like indie band kind of music. So for me, it's just been listening to the old 97s, the Avett Brothers and Turnpike. It's brought me joy. And then while we're working on this, I'm gonna rotate through a few slides of our weekly setup pages so that you can see how folks set those spaces up. So I'll stop talking. I'm gonna put on some music while you work on this, and then we'll close out together and jump into that new week. Everybody, give yourself a big pat on the back for getting going with the Sonder family this morning. Some great sharing in the chat. That's one of the things I love about our time together is that you share within that chat and inspire and support and encourage one another. This is such a special community. We'd also love to see maybe something you're considering in your journal shared in Sonder Club. We'd love to see photographs if you are comfortable sharing or just letting us know, like, how are you going to embrace the outdoors this week? How did our mind map inspire you for the week? There are those QR codes. We share these at every social so that you can refer a friend, upgrade, survey information, and Jennifer sharing all of those in the chat, including the YouTube channel. There are like 850, maybe 870 socials on there. It's real easy to go down a rabbit hole, but you can always access a weekly setup by looking at that YouTube channel if you're not able to do it live, but you will miss out on the magic of the chat and being with the community. Jennifer and I are proud of you for coming today. Y'all make it a great week. We'll see you soon.
Me and Fear, we had a thing in 1993. Told me I was wasting time with all these silly dreams. I dated out, she knocked me down every time I tried. But I found joy in my life. Sorrow swept me off my feet in 2009. I took long walks on the beach next to the oceans that we cried. In grief she came and overstayed way longer than I'd liked. But I found joy in my life. I found joy, yeah, she opened up my eyes. It gave me wings and halo rings and taught me how to fly. Ooh, I feel like a million lights. I found joy in my life. And got me like, yeah. Ooh, I found joy in my life. And got me like, yeah. Pressure pushed me to the edge, she worked me to the bone.